Okay, so let's go on to the third lecture of coordination chemistry. In the previous one we had done the nomenclature और nomenclature में हम लोगों ने क्या किया था, coordinate entities जो थी जिनको हम square brackets के अंदर लिखते हैं उनको हमने दो different types में classify किया था. One in which the coordinate entity that is going to be cationic, which means it is going to bear a positive charge, and the other one that is going to be anionic, which means it's going to bear a negative charge. Now when it is bearing a positive charge, that is the species that is going to be cationic over here, in that case the name of the central metal atom that is going to remain as same. For example, copper will remain copper, iron will remain iron, silver will remain silver, and so on. But if we are doing the nomenclature of anionic species in which the coordinate sphere or the coordinate entity that is going to get a negative charge, in that case the central metal atom, the name of that is going to end in ate. For example, copper will become cuprate, iron will become ferrate, silver will become argentate, right? That is because in that case we are going to name the positive entity first, and the positive entity is going to be placed on the left hand side of the coordinate entity, which is going to be again a metal. For example, we have K4, FeCN6, right? So in that case the name that is going to be, because potassium is the positive entity over here, potassium will get the name as it is potassium, and then the ligands over here, second name is going to be the ligand. So we have hexacyano and then ferrate and then the oxidation number of the central metal atom. So this is what we had done in our last lecture. Today we are going to go on to Werner's coordination theory. In fact, Werner's coordination theory, it was the first successful theory which was given about the formation of any coordinate complex, the bonding in between them, and the physical, chemical and various other properties were discussed on the basis of this theory. Werner was a scientist who first successfully gave us the explanation of the coordinate compounds, and he also got a Nobel Prize for that, right? So when we're talking of coordination compounds, all the coordination compounds, they are going to be stable in nature. What are going to be the important postulates of Werner's theory? When we're talking of important postulates of Werner's theory, according to him, every coordinate complex, every element in the coordinate complex, every central metal atom in the coordinate complex, every central metal atom in the coordinate complex has two types of valencies. One which is known as the primary valency, and the second which is known as the secondary valency. Okay? So there are going to be two types of valency, the primary valency and the secondary valency. The primary valency over here, that is going to be the oxidation number according to modern terminology. So this is the oxidation number, and the secondary valency is going to be the coordination number. Right? Now the oxidation number means what? The oxidation number is also known as ionizable valency, because according to this we will calculate the oxidation number of the central metal atom according to the negative charges or the positive charges which are going to be present in the coordinate complex. The coordination number is going to be non-ionizable, right? So it does not ionize at all. Then it is seen that the secondary valency and the primary valency both have to be satisfied by the central metal atom. Let's say that when we are talking of primary valency, it is seen that the primary valency that is going to be satisfied by negative ions. The primary valency that is satisfied by negative ions, and this is also known as principal ionizable or ionic valency, because primary valency is the oxidation state. So it is known as the primary or the principal ionizable or ionic valency. It is its attachment that to the central metal atom, that is going to be shown by dotted lines that we will just do in the diagram. The secondary valency is satisfied by neutral molecule or negative ions. So secondary valency, that is going to be satisfied by either neutral molecules having a lone pair of electrons or negative ions, either of the two. Okay? So we have primary valency and we have secondary valency. Primary valency is satisfied by negative ions. So basically the secondary valency mostly is going to be the ligands which are going to be attached to the central metal atom. That is the reason why they are going to be non-ionizable. Okay? Now the donor atoms of the ligands which satisfy the coordination number, they are going to be directly attached to the central metal atom. Like for example, if we are taking one compound of the type COCl3 dot 6NH3. Now over here 6NH3, this is going to satisfy because this is neutral. So as this is neutral, this cannot satisfy the primary valency. This will only satisfy the secondary valency. The maximum coordination number of the central metal atom can be 6. Okay, so all the ligands, they are going to be ammonia over here. So this can be, the molecule can be expressed, all those which have 6 coordination number is octahedral species. So you can see that the secondary valency, that is going to be shown by bold lines, whereas the primary valency, that is going to be shown by dotted lines. So over here chlorine, that is going to be the counter ion which is satisfying the primary valency, and ammonia is going to be the neutral atom or the ligands which is satisfying the secondary valency. Okay, now every central metal, that is going to have a fixed number of coordination number. As I just told you, like cobalt, platinum, they have coordination number of 6, whereas copper may have coordination number of 4, nickel may have coordination number of 4. Okay? So for every central metal atom, the number of or the coordination number, that is going to be fixed. And it is seen that every element that tends to satisfy both primary as well as secondary valency. So let's take a few examples over here. Both the valencies, they have to be satisfied. This is the second postulate of Werner. Both the valencies have to be satisfied by every element. Okay, like for example, we have PtCl4 dot 6NH3. Again, the oxidation number of platinum, that is going to be 6. So this can be written as the non-ionizable valency, which is the coordination number in brackets, and the ionizable valency outside the bracket. So this is going to be the coordinate entity and this is going to be the counter ion. Okay, similarly if we have PtCl4 dot 5NH3. Now you can see over here that the number of amine molecules, they are only 5, but the coordination number of platinum, that is 6. That means one of the chlorine, that is going to satisfy both the primary as well as the secondary valency. Okay, such that the structure may be now written as PtCl NH3 So 3 chlorides from here and 1 chlorine from here. This is satisfying both the oxidation number, which is 4 in case of platinum over here, and and also it is satisfying the coordination number. So this chlorine is going to have a dual behavior. ठीक है? Similarly, let's take the example of PtCl4.4NH3. Now in this case there are going to be two chloride ions which are going to have dual behavior, such that the structure now becomes Cl2. So there are two chloride atoms over here, or ions, which are going to satisfy both the primary and the secondary valency. ठीक है? So this is the second postulate. The third postulate is, okay, now when we doing the third postulate over here, the third postulate says that the ligands satisfy the secondary valency, which satisfy the secondary valency, are directed towards fixed position in space, which means that this is going to determine the geometry of the complex. So therefore it is seen that the geometry of any complex will depend upon the coordination number and not the oxidation number. Okay, for example, if we have octahedral, that means for octahedral there should be 6 ligands present, and if there are 6 ligands present, the coordination number is going to be 6. So the geometry for all those which have coordination number of 6, they are going to have octahedral geometry. Is it clear? And all those which have a coordination number of 4, they may have two types of geometry, which is square planar, right? So this is for coordination number 4. They may have a geometry which is square planar, or they may have a geometry which is tetrahedral, depending upon the hybridization and the central metal atom present. This we will discuss later. It can have both kinds of geometries depending upon, number 1, the hybridization which it has, and number 2, it will also depend upon the central metal atom. Sometimes it so happens that the hybridization may be sp3, but the structure that is square planar. The reason behind that is the type of central metal atom which is going to be taken. For example, complexes of platinum, they mostly have square planar geometry if they have coordination number of 4, whereas nickel having coordination number of 4 will have tetrahedral geometry. So this is very important from your competition point of view. Okay, platinum के जो complexes होते हैं with coordination number 4 generally follow square planar. That is because of the larger size of the d orbitals. So if the larger size of d orbitals is going to be there, they will tend to follow the square planar geometry. And in case of nickel, complexes with coordination number 4, they have tetrahedral geometry. ठीक है? So this is what Werner's theory was. So let's go on to now isomerism in coordination compounds. Okay, we are going on to isomerism in coordination compounds. You know what isomerism is? The compounds which have similar molecular formula but different physical and chemical properties. They are known as isomers. ठीक है? And the different chemical and physical properties is due to their different structures, right? And the phenomenon that is going to be known as isomerism. So we are saying that what are isomers which have same molecular formula, but they are going to have different structure structural formula or spatial arrangements of ligands. ठीक है, they are going to have different structural formula or spatial arrangement of ligands, different spatial arrangement. It means that they are going to have different physical and chemical properties. Depending upon whether the structural formula is different or the spatial arrangement is different, we classify isomerism into two types. We are going to discuss the first type today, which is structural isomerism, right? Now when we are talking of structural isomerism, the isomers which have the same molecular formula but different structures, they are going to be known as structural isomers, and the phenomena will be known as structural isomerism. We will discuss four types of structural isomerisms today. The first one, that is known as ionization isomerism. Those molecules which give different ions in solution. Which gives different ions in solution, they are known as ionization isomers, or in different words or in simple words, we say that in this case the counter ions are different. Okay, so basically when we were doing the Werner's theory was basically, it was based on precipitation studies, and it was based on conductance measurements. Depending upon that, the different structures of coordination compounds that was formulated. Okay? So depending upon that, this isomerism can be explained. For example, if we have a compound of cobalt NH3 whole 5 BrSO4, okay, and this is giving us a precipitate of barium sulfate with barium chloride. The color of this compound, it is violet. Okay, so we say that if it is giving us a white precipitate of barium sulfate, that means that the sulfate is going to be present as the counter ion. Okay? So this is going to have a formula of, as soon as we will react barium chloride with this, we will get a white precipitate of barium sulfate. Okay? So it clearly indicates that over here sulfate is going to be the counter ion, and bromine that is going to be present inside the coordinate entity and is going to behave as a ligand. Okay? What is going to be the isomer of this? In this case, the counter ion is going to change. So we have over here CO NH3 whole 5 SO4 Br. This is going to be the isomer, ionization isomer of this, because as we react this with AgNO3 solution, it is going to give us yellow precipitates of AgBr. So this very clearly indicates that in this case the bromide ion that is going to behave as counter ion. So these are ionization isomers which gives us different ions in solution. Okay? Understood? The second type which we have, they are known as hydrate or solvation. Solvation or hydrate isomerism. Solvation or hydrate isomerism give us different water molecules present inside and outside the coordinate entity. Okay, for example, we have Cr H2O whole 6 Cl3. Now this compound, it is violet in color and it does not give us any water of crystallization, which means that if we react this with anhydrous copper sulfate, it will not be converted blue, which means it does not give any water outside the coordinate entity. All the 6 water molecules, they are going to be present as ligands in this case. ठीक है? Then we have another one. इसका जो isomer आएगा, that is Cr Cl H2O whole 5 Cl dot 2 point or dot Cl2 dot H2O. So this has one water of crystallization which is lying outside the coordinate entity. Now if you will react this with anhydrous copper sulfate, that will be converted blue. The color of this compound is green. So this compound is an isomer of this compound. ठीक है? Similarly, we have Cr Cl2 H2O whole 4 Cl dot 2H2O. Now this is giving us 2 molecules of water of crystallization outside the coordinate entity. This is also green in color. So this is again solvation or hydrate isomerism. Right? So you've understood what solvation isomerism is, which are going to have different water molecules outside the coordinate entity. In the first case, there is no water molecule outside the coordinate entity. In the second one, there is one, and in the third one, there are going to be 2 molecules of water of crystallization outside. ठीक है? The third type we have is coordination isomerism. So we have the third one over here. Coordination isomerism. Now what is coordination isomerism? In this case, both cationic and anionic species are present. We've spoken of these in which there are 2 coordinate entities present. Now the ligands which are attached to the metals in both the coordinate entities, they are going to be different. For example, if we have platinum NH3 whole 4 and CuCl4. So in this, both cationic and anionic species, they are going to be complexes or coordinate entities. ठीक है? Over here, exchange of ligands is going to take place. So the isomer of this compound is going to be so you can see that the ligands attached to the metals, they have changed over here. Is it clear? So this is what coordination isomerism is. The fourth type of isomerism, that is known as linkage. Linkage isomerism. Linkage isomerism is a special isomerism which is only found in embedded ligands. We know what embedded ligands are, which can connect or which can bond to the central metal atom through 2 different donor atoms, but they are examples of monodentate. For example, we have cyano. So if the linkage is through carbon, then this is known as cyano. But if the linkage is through nitrogen, then this is going to be known as isocyano. So we've already done this. Linkage isomerism will be special case of isomerism which will only exist in those type of coordinate compounds which will have embedded ligands. In a similar manner, you know, NO2, nitro. So if nitro is combining through nitrogen, this is known as nitrito N. And if it is combining through oxygen, then this is known as nitrito O. Okay? Then the next type of isomerism which we have, that is known as polymerization isomerism. The next isomerism which we have, that is known as polymerization isomerism. Now this type of isomerism exists in compounds having same stoichiometric composition but different molecular composition, which means they may exist in polymeric form. For example, if we're talking of a complex of platinum NH3 whole twice and Cl2. Okay, basically this does not come under isomerization, but still because of the different structures it can be, because this can, the polymer of this or the dimer of this can also be written as right. So this is how they are going to exist in polymeric form. So molecular compositions, they are going to be, you can say that simple multiple of simplest stoichiometric arrangement. You can see over here, this is the simplest stoichiometric arrangement. That is going to be multiple. So if you are dividing, multiplying this formula by 2, we are going to get this. It's not essential that this is going to behave as a monomer, but it's just a multiple of the simplest stoichiometric compound which is going to exist. Okay? Then the last type which we are going to do over here, that is known as coordination position isomerism. Coordination position isomerism. This type of isomerism that is exhibited by polynuclear complexes. Bridging complexes हमने करे थे ना, by changing the position of ligands. Okay, so we are going to change the position of ligands over here, and they are generally found in the bridging compounds. So let's take an example over here. We have a bridging compound CO NH2 O2, and we have cobalt NH3 whole twice Cl2, and over here we have NH3 whole thrice Cl. Right? So if you're looking at this side, on the left hand side, the position of ligands is there are 3 amines and 1 chlorine present. On the right hand side, we have 2 amines and 2 chlorines present. So in this isomer, the position of the ligands that will change, such that the isomer of this now becomes, we have CO NH2 O2 CO, and we have over here, this shifts this side, we have NH3 whole thrice Cl, and on this side we are going to have, this is going to shift on this side, so we have NH3 whole twice Cl2. So it's just the position of the ligands which is going to change. Okay? So we've done the first kind of isomerism today, which is only based on the structural differences between the two different kind of compounds which are having the same molecular formula. Now there is another kind of isomerism which we will be discussing in our next class, in which the spatial arrangement of the ligands that is going to change, and that is known as stereoisomerism. In case of stereoisomerism, we have two kinds of isomerism which we need to discuss. One which is known as the geometrical isomerism, in which the geometries are going to be different, and the second one we will discuss is optical isomerism. Is it clear? So this is, with this we finish today's lesson. Tomorrow we are going to do the isomerism which is left, and we will also start with our next topic, that is bonding and coordination compounds, in which we have to discuss two theories. One is the valence bond theory, and the other one that is going to be CFT, crystal field theory. Okay?